This is the plaintiff, Terrell Willis. He says he discussed with the defendant about hiring him to DJ his best friend's birthday party. But things didn't pan out. Now the guy won't give him his deposit back. He never signed a contract with this unscrupulous businessman. There was never any discussion of the deposit being non-refundable. And he wants his $150 returned here and now. This is the defendant, Dre. He says the plaintiff gave him money to reserve his services for a birthday party, which he then tried to cancel. He gave up other jobs, and the plaintiff has to get it into his head that when he reserves someone for a gig, he can't then just back out and expect a refund. He's accused of letting the music die. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $600 for lost wages.
All parties, please get your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case from the docket. The plaintiff says he hired the defendant to DJ his best friend's birthday party, but the party was canceled and now he wants his money back. The defendant says it's not his fault the party got canceled and he's keeping the money. It's the case of my head, not my turntable, is spinning.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Jan.
All right, Mr. Willis, you're suing DJ Dre for $150 of a deposit because the party didn't happen. Tell me what happens here.
Okay, so I was throwing his fraternity brother, which happens to be my actual best friend in real life.
In real life as opposed to fraternity life?
Yes, I'm not in his fraternity.
Okay, yeah.
I was throwing a birthday party, a surprise birthday party for him, and I was referred to DJ Dre through one of their line sisters, and I reached out to him and tried to book him for the service. Or actually, I booked him for the service. I booked him for the 27th.
The 27th of what?
However, March.
And what day did you book him for the 27th of March? On what day in March did you book him?
I believe I sent the deposit March 14th.
Okay, go on.
I went on to book him for the event. Due to finances, I had to cancel the event on the 22nd.
Why?
Me and his fraternity brother's mom was the only one paying for the event.
Because were other people, well, why are you throwing a party you can't afford? What was the plan originally, that everybody would contribute, other people, and then they didn't come through, or what?
Yes, other people didn't come through.
Oh, this is so sad. Does he know that we have all this litigation over what should have been his birthday party? Does he, it's like, he must feel terrible.
I tried to not tell him about it.
Well, he's gonna know now, pal, because you're on national television. As it turns out, you change your mind about the party, and then you tell, because of what you just said, and then you tell Dre that you want the money back. And what does Dre tell you?
He tells me no, he doesn't do refunds.
Right, and then your answer to that is what?
That's not what was said in the contract.
Okay, and what was said in the contract?
So he sent me a note, and he sent me what I would be paying as for a deposit and the rest of the money and everything else that would cover.
Right.
Under the deposit area, it doesn't say anything about non-refundable.
So
refundable, none of that.
Okay, and let me hear from you, Dre. Why won't you return the guy's money?
So, as I told him in the text messages, I don't do refunds on deposits. Like, it's kind of industry standard for any industry that really does deposits. It's
why? What's the purpose of a deposit, Dre?
So it's insurance for us. Honestly, we commit to whatever you want us to commit to. Same with you committing to us. Then yeah. So I'm turning down other gigs, any preparation work I gotta do.
I mean, what do you think, Mr. Willis, is the premise of a deposit?
The premise of the deposit is to book you for the date.
Right. So what makes you think that you can put down a deposit and then just turn around and say, okay, you're reserving that date for me, and to the detriment of all other people and your own business. But you know what? I want it to be for free, so I changed my mind. In other words, the fact that it doesn't say non-refundable, the default position is that it's non-refundable. That's the point of a deposit. He's taking something off the market, whether it's a car or a house or his services for a certain date. He's taking it off the market on your behalf. And so, you know, then you change your mind, why would you not lose the deposit? You would then be getting to reserve the date at no cost to you. You know there's a cost to you because you paid the cost to you. So it's not a surprise that it's non-refundable because the default position is it's non-refundable.
Welcome back to the People's Court. The plaintiff says the defendant simply an unscrupulous businessman who stole his money. The defendant certainly doesn't see it that way. Let's go back into the courtroom and see who's right.
Where I got confused was, how does he state that in the note? He doesn't state that in the note.
He doesn't have to. The default,
but
what I mean by default position is that the actual point I want to point out to you is nowhere does it say it's refundable. Refundable would be the weird thing because deposits are exactly for that. They're to hold something. So that's got to cost you. You know it costs you. The people on your side know it costs you because you're the side that's paying for it. So you know it costs you something, and you know you're buying something with that little bit of money. And then it always marvels me when they say, well, it didn't say it was non-refundable. Well, no, that's the default position is that it's non-refundable. What are you counterclaiming this man on for $600 for lost wages?
Counterclaiming because it's interesting because earlier you mentioned did he tell my fraternity brother? He kind of like did tell other people that we were going to court about it, and I'm a DJ. My name is everything. Like, that's my reputation.
What did he say? Other than what did he say about you that's not true? What he said was he won't give me back the deposit.
Yeah, so he gave the perception of bad business, and it cost me another gig.
First of all, you have to prove that. How are you going to prove it cost you another gig?
I mean,
right, that's
I could
one.
call the person
But no, the time for that is past. We're in trial right now. But so that's one. But two, you know, if all he does is say, hey, I gave him a deposit, he doesn't give it back to me, and I'm the person he's talking to, I don't think ill of you. I say, well, you gave him a deposit. What do you think was going to happen? So in other words, it's not like it's saying he's a thief, he's a crook, you know, he stole my money, he didn't show up, he's a bad business. He didn't do any of that. He just said, hey, I gave him a deposit, he won't give it back. You know, so I don't find that to be a reason why you would be entitled to lost wages if you were even able to prove it. So on his claim against you, 0. And on your counterclaim against him, also 0. Good luck, gentlemen.
So there are no winners in this case in the People's Court. Both the plaintiff and the defendant have lost their suits. Mr. Willis, let me ask you, are you surprised at all that you lost this case?
I'm a little bit surprised because I just don't understand. Like, if she looked at the evidence clearly, he didn't state the refundable policy with me, but he states it in other contracts with other people as well. So I'm just not understanding why. But I mean,
all right. Well, I guess you're learning the hard way what a deposit is really for. So at least from now on, if you put a deposit down, don't expect to get it back, okay? Unless it clearly says it's returnable to you. Mr. Dre, let me ask you something. You keep the deposit. You keep that. You don't have to give that back. Mm-hmm. But are you upset that you aren't getting money for the lost gig?
Honestly, no. I'm really not. You know, I miss out on other gigs. It kind of is what it is.
All right. Well, you did try to get it, but obviously you're not too upset that you're not going to get it. Good enough.
So, Doug, look, when you sue for defamation, you have to prove two things. One, whatever the statement is at issue, that it was false. And secondly, that it subjects you to scorn and ridicule in the community. Simply saying that somebody didn't pay, I understand it might be a lie, maybe not a lie, but it doesn't rise to the level of creating scorn and ridicule. It's just not that big a deal.
What is the one food that you would never eat again?
There's a few, but the one that jumps into my head right away because I can smell it and taste it
Crickets?
right now. No. Tripe.
Tripe.
Have you ever had tripe?
No, I just watch you eat ridiculous things for the last 30 years.
Look, my standards are not that high, as you know, from at home, from the time I took that sausage out of the dog's mouth and threw it back on the grill and ate it.
In fairness to you, you did identify which one it was and eat it yourself.
Yeah, because it was the one with the puncture wounds on the side of it, yeah. But, you know, once you cook it, it's fine.
Oh.
So, but tripe.
But I've seen you eat crickets.
Oh, yeah, I've eaten crickets.
Chocolate-covered crickets.
Who hasn't?
Who hasn't?
Who among us
and
hasn't tried
chocolate-covered ants?
Right. But listen, the tripe thing, this stuff, it's a tripe, if you've never tried it, is the lining of a cow's first stomach. And it's like chewing on a rubber ball. It's a sponge. It just never changes the texture. It's just chewing a piece of sponge. And it's got a pretty strong taste. I'm sure some people love it, but it's not for me. What about you? What food would you never eat again?
I'm not that adventurous, but I don't eat the hairy calamari, you know, the one with the tentacles.
So that's more for me. I get all of them.
Right,
Whenever,
yeah, I just eat and I like calamari, I just don't like the hairy ones.
Well,
I
that's
feel like
a happy
it's an animal.
coincidence because
I
I like the ones with the little tentacles all over them.
Yeah, all yours.
And you like the round ones that look like rings.
Yeah, that's it. I can't even say because I'm not that adventurous, so there's nothing bizarre that I eat like.
So you might say between us we have kind of a squid pro quo on that, so that I give to you and then you give to me, right?
That's going to do it for us now, and we will see you for the next session of the People's Court.